Guys, welcome back to Ringside as we are joined by 1/3 of the Ring of Honor six-man tag team champions, the Righteous' very own Dutch. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, we're good, man. We're good. It's a bit cold over here, but that's typical UK. But otherwise, it's all right. We're good.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's cold over here in New York too.
Oh
yeah.
I went to New York at Christmas 7 years ago, and it was the coldest place I've ever been. It was so
it really
bad.
Is.
It was nothing
really
like the
is.
movies. There was no snow. It was just cold, bitterly cold.
Yeah, that's the thing about New York. We get the coldest winters and the hottest summers. You just can't catch a break.
Yeah, well, I made a mistake, clearly, because I thought I'll go for, like, the Hallmark movie kind of thing, you know, the skating and all the Christmas lights. It was beautiful, but so cold. And you know what? I can't wait to go back when it's warm, because it's a beautiful city, but so cold. So I feel for you at the moment.
No, absolutely.
But I mean, we've got to start as well with the weekend final battle. We spoke to Kerry Silken just before it. It was emotional. I mean, what was your thoughts? Was it bittersweet for you?
Oh man, yeah. So, I mean, for weeks leading up, it kind of felt like it wasn't real, I guess. But yeah, you get to the arena that day, and everybody was just in like, you know, it was reminiscent of being at a funeral,
Right.
Pretty much. You know, everybody was just in like a somber mood, but also like, you know, glad to be around each other, I guess, you know. But yeah, no, it was definitely an emotional day. And I mean, even though we were on the pre-show, I'm glad we were the first match to be featured, which was awesome, you know. And remember the feeling of the bell ringing, and me and Moses were just standing across the ring from each other, and the crowd just kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. We just took that moment in, and I was like, oh wow, this is it. You know, this is really happening right now. So yeah, it was a bit of an emotional day.
Is it true as well? I guess it's true you're saying that with the crowd as well. I've always heard like wrestlers say, you know, there isn't a better feeling than that rush from the crowd. Was that the feeling you got on Saturday?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, I was fired up as it was anyway, because I mean, like it could potentially be the last show. We don't know anything. We have no idea. We know as much as you guys know.
Yeah.
The hiatus saying they're coming back in April. That's what we're hearing. That's what you're hearing. I couldn't tell you anything else is changing.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm taking this as the potential last time that we could be in Ring of Honor. So like I said, just taking in that moment was really, really emotional for everybody involved.
And to think as well that if that was the last Ring of Honor show, potentially ever, you went out as a champion, that must be that's quite a bittersweet feeling, but cool as well, because on the last ever episode of Ring of Honor, you were a champion. How does that feel?
So when we found out that was happening, I was like, oh wow, this is something else. It's always been one of my, not even wrestling, but lifetime goals was to get into Ring of Honor. And, you know, I've been a fan since 2003. My first show was the first Death Before Dishonor, main evented by Paul London and Samoa Joe.
Nice.
And that was kind of my introduction to wrestling outside of the WWE.
Yeah.
I didn't really know a lot of it existed. So watching that and being like, oh my God, this style of wrestling is insane. I mean, on that show specifically, you got your strong style stuff, you got your hardcore, you got your pure wrestling, you got your, you know, big main event matches. And just seeing all of that for the first time, really, I was like, okay, this is, you know, I had in my mind that I wanted to be a pro wrestler when I was able to. That solidified my goal right there. And it has always been a goal of mine to get into Ring of Honor. So this past year, finally being able to get into it, you know, over the course of the last year has been phenomenal. I loved every second of it. And then being told, hey, you're winning the 6-man titles, like that's like it still really doesn't even seem real to me, honestly. You know, I walked into my house last night and just sitting there. I'm like, wow, oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Did you get to keep the belt?
Oh, I'm not giving it back.
Oh.
I mean, to be fair, on a side note, them belts are beautiful as well.
They are.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
you know, they really are.
Because I've held titles in other, you know, small promotions and everything. The quality of the titles you could absolutely see, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I know like the Ring of Honor titles are beautiful because they always have been. They've always had some of the nicest looking belts in wrestling. But you've also been a tag team champion in CZW too. And, you know, CZW is another one of those companies like Ring of Honor where in 2003, that's where all of the indie names were wanting to go. So you've done CZW, you've done Ring of Honor. It must be pretty cool to have wrestled for two of the like indie wrestling bucket lists and being a champion in both of them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's another thing too. Like my favorite, one of my favorite storylines in pro wrestling was the CZW versus Ring of Honor feud.
Yeah,
I mean, it was so well done, and it was perfect in my eyes. And like you said, you know, being able to wrestle for both of those companies that, you know, I really looked up to. Like I think I was in the crowd at Cage Death 10, I believe. And then that was another thing too. I was like, I've never seen anything like this before. I've never seen it like the deathmatch wrestling on this level. And again, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do again, you know. So yeah, being able to wrestle for both companies and hold titles for both companies is a dream come true.
And thinking about like how the landscape of indie wrestling is now, it's changed so much from when, like, it sounds like you were a fan of the early 2000s indie wrestling too. That's kind of my first exposure as well into outside of WWE. The landscape's changed so much nowadays where there's promotions in every city, every state, so many good companies as well. Like PWG, for example, is one of my favorites, always has been. But there's like Beyond, Defy, Warrior Wrestling, so many good companies. Is there any companies that instantly take your attention that you now want to go and try your hand in?
Well, for right now, so I mean, Beyond Wrestling, that I consider that my home.
Yeah,
you know, because that's really the start of the popularity of Team Tremendous. And being able to wrestle there and being able to wrestle in PWG has been great. Right now, I think for me, I would love to wrestle in GCW. I would love to wrestle for Defy and Prestige. Is another one.
Yeah.
Those three right there are the you know, the top companies that I have not wrestled for yet, and I would love to do so.
There's no shortage nowadays, is there? There's no shortage of good companies to wrestle for, which is great.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I mean, and it's you know, it's good being in New York because there's a lot of, you know, close. You know, I don't need to really travel too far to get to a lot of these shows. You know, I mean, Defy and Prestige on the other side of the country, but you know, hopefully we'll be able to get there one of these days. But you know, GCW is usually local, but I mean, right now, especially with, you know, Ring of Honor, WWE firing everybody, you know, it's everybody wants to work for these companies. So you're really gonna have to show something different. You know, you really got to be different now and really kind of prove yourself again. And to me, that is more exciting than anything because it's like, okay, you know what? I don't like getting, you know, used to, I guess, like getting, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like getting too comfortable, I guess.
Yeah.
Getting too comfortable, you know, because it kind of got that way with, you know, doing Team Tremendous for a while. Toward the tail end of that, it was kind of like, okay, we're doing the same matches over and over and over and over. And it kind of got like, okay, I'm just showing up just to have a match, you know, and then leave. Now, having to prove myself again with so many people, free agents and everything, I find that more exciting now because that really puts me in a position to really better myself and really stand out and hopefully get seen by a lot more companies.
Absolutely. And I have to just, Callum mentioned CZW as well. I've had a few people over the past months have said to me about Dan Barry, about, oh, you need to reach out and get Dan Barry on. And it's someone you're very familiar with.
Yes.
What was it like working with Dan? Because I get I be honest with you, I'm not 100% familiar with his work, but I hear so many good things and that is worth checking out.
So me and Dan, we go back, how long now? It's got to be 12 years now. We have been friends for about that long. I had met him on one of the first shows that I was really booked on, one of the first real shows that I was actually booked on. He kind of like took me along because he realized that, okay, this guy's dressed up in a nice suit. He's not part of the ring crew, but he looks lost. So let me take him and kind of like show him around. So he did. And we, became close friends almost instantly. And then when I got hired by WWE and went to FCW, I was there for 2 years or so, came back. He was the first person I called. I was like, okay, let's do something. And we did. For about a year and a half or so, we're trying to find our footing and, trying to find what we wanted to do. And then I think it was Interspecies Wrestling. They were doing, I think, a Halloween show. And he was like, you know what, why don't we try this new gimmick out? Why don't we both dress like 80s cops? And at that point, I was like, I don't know. I was still trying to get my job back with WWE, and I didn't really know, this guy's, taking it as a joke, whatever. But I was like, hey, you know what? I'll do it for this one show. So we did. As soon as we walked through that curtain, the crowd like exploded, and I was like, okay, we're gonna stick with this. So, but yeah, I mean, Dan's a great guy. We went our separate ways last year, and we just had our kind of big blow off match at Beyond a few weeks ago, which I won. So it's a plus for me.
Just while we're on the subject of Interspecies Wrestling, that's another company that mid-2000s I did hear quite a bit about. Is it the company where there was like literally a panda versus like just a regular wrestler, and that was just like the whole gimmick of the company was there was? Is that the right company that I'm thinking of? Because yes. I'm sure there was a panda, there was like a raccoon.
Yes, there was.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah. That was highly entertaining, and in a lot of ways, a lot like Kaiju Big Battle. It was. I love crazy wrestling like that. It's my cup of tea.
Oh, absolutely.
And is it still going, Interspecies Wrestling?
They had a show, I'm going to say back in October.
Right, okay. I might have to check that out.
Yeah. I believe that's on the IWTV app.
Right,
but,
okay.
I hope they come back to running like at least a half schedule or full schedule, because I love working with them. I really do. It's so much fun at those shows.
It sounds like a lot of fun. It really does. From what I can remember, it looked like it must have been so much fun to be a worker on those events. Like,
oh, absolutely.
You just get to wrestle as a panda. Like, where else are you going to do that?
Pretty much it. I think the first interspecies match I think I ever saw was that panda versus Homicide, and right, I was just like, wow,
that's amazing.
Is kind of crazy. Yeah.
Well, I know what I'm going on YouTube to look at after we finish this interview now, don't I? That's my job after this. You mentioned obviously FCW as well. I mean, what was that whole experience for you like as well? Because obviously you hear a lot of people now that WWE is the evil empire and all this. But I mean, what was your experience like there?
So I mean, I loved it. I did. I was 21, 22 years old when I got hired. I feel like I was too young to really be on my own in the other side of the country for the first time, living on my own, and wrestling on my own, not knowing anybody there. But, it's, to me, the people that I was around, the people that I got to train with, and my trainers and everything were unbelievable. Now, when you say the evil empire,
I mean, I'm saying what everybody. Yeah, I mean, I'm a wrestling fan, full stop. But I know a lot of people. You know, it's the evil empire. Yeah.
I don't want to say anything bad about the company, but I doubt I'll be getting a job with them anytime soon anyway. But it's like the way that upper management is there, you think you're getting fired any day of the week.
Right.
And then when you think you're not getting fired is when you get fired. And that's exactly what happened with me.
So you're always on edge, walking on eggshells.
Every single day.
Right.
And it was, you know, for a 21-year-old kid, like that's, you know, mentally, that's messed up, you know?
Dude, I would not even be able to deal with that now at any age. Yeah. Like that kind of pressure must be insane. So do you feel like having that experience like helped in a lot of ways though, knowing what the industry is like?
100%. 100%. It as you know, like I said, it wasn't a bad experience at all. I loved every second I was there, but you also, like I said, had it in the back of your head that you could get fired at any given moment. But yes, it definitely did help me the way that I see the business. Also, you know, I became, you know, some of my best friends that I've had since then. You know, some are still there, others are not. But you know, I made a lot of good friends, made a lot of good acquaintances, and I still keep in contact with a handful of them almost every day. You know.
Yeah.
So
you know, you've had that experience. It's helped you, I guess, in your career to where you are now. And I've got to go back to Ring of Honor because, like I said before we hit record, I'm like the biggest righteous mark in the world. How did the righteous come about when it was pitched to you, and obviously working with Vinny and Vita and Tyler?
So me and Vinny, we've been friends for a while now, and we kind of hit it off right away because we both have the same interests. We both love horror movies.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we were kind of doing our own thing. I was doing Team Tremendous. He was starting out in Ring of Honor with the Kingdom and everything. Then he started the Righteous, and I was one of the first people that came to mind. But the role wasn't there for me just yet.
Yeah.
Now, initially, I was supposed to join them back in December of 2019.
Yeah.
Didn't work out that month, so we were going to figure out, okay, maybe February we'll do it. But then COVID hit, of course.
Yep.
So that got put on the back burner until what was it, the 19th anniversary show? I think I debuted at. So that was March. It got pushed back till, but yeah. So it was in the works for a while, and even you know, me and Vinny, we would always bounce ideas back and forth to each other, even when I wasn't with Ring of Honor at the time. But like we had the same mindset, and same thing with Bateman too.
Yeah.
We're both all three of us. We both love horror movies. We're all out there in a sense. You know, we're not afraid to step out of the box and really, show a different side of us. You know, I mean, if you see, you see the way I'm dressed right now. I'm dressed for work, but if there's two different personas.
Yeah.
For all three of us. And it's cool to get to do that, especially with friends.
I think that's what's so good about The Righteous is you can tell that you're all kind of similar. You're all like enjoying the gimmick as much as each other. It's not something you've been forced into and said this is a character you have to play. It's just an extension of yourselves.
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
that's always the best gimmicks where you're the most comfortable playing it. And it comes across on the TV. You can tell you're all enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of Ring of Honor too, is you have a lot of creative freedom. You really do. Almost too much, which could be a bad thing. But you can throw ideas back and forth, and 9 times out of 10 they stick. Whereas with other companies, like, okay, here's what you're doing, do it like this, and don't even ask about trying anything different.
Yeah.
You know, so with Ring of Honor and with the Righteous and everything, we're able to pretty much do whatever we wanted. And, you know, me and Vinny, we just went out and like took pictures on our own and sent them. And they were like, yeah, this is what we want. We want to do this, you know? And they're like, yeah, okay, sure. Bring them in. Let's do it. You know, so.
That's it. I think another great example of Ring of Honor being so good with character freedom is Dan Hausen.
Yes.
You know, Dan Hausen to me only works in a small handful of places, and Ring of Honor was so good to give him the freedom to still be 100% Dan Hausen. And
absolutely.
Because he's so entertaining. I mean, what was it like for you? You know, being in the back with Dan Hausen? Is he just as crazy as you imagine?
So he's another one too who immediately we just hit it off, and we both have the same mindset, and you know he's obviously a big fan of horror movies too, and you know that's kind of like what we would just talk about for hours and hours at a time, just sit there just discussing, you know, crappy movies, good movies, you know, just all of that stuff, you know, and he's a really good guy, and yes, he is, you know. It's funny to see him as, you know, Dan Hausen, and then outside of the gimmick, because again, it's two completely different people.
That threw us, didn't it, Cag? Me and Callum spoke to him earlier this year, and obviously before we hit record, we got Donovan, and it kind of threw you. You know? And as soon as you hit record, it was Dan Hausen. It's like, whoa.
Yes.
It was so crazy because part of me just wanted him to be Dan Hausen even before and after the interview. And like I imagine him to go to the shop and get his groceries as Dan Hausen, go to the dentist as Dan Hausen. And in my head, that's canon, you know. He's never outside of character. That's him 100% of the time. But that's because he's so good at playing Dan Hausen. You can't imagine him as anything else. But
no, you really can't. And that's like he deserves all the money in the world, because
I mean, he's trying.
Oh, absolutely. But you know, he's another guy with, like, you know, in the same vein of like the Young Bucks, who has a successful career without having that giant platform. You know, I mean, yes, he was Ring of Honor, but I mean, you can't compare Ring of Honor's, you know, weekly television to AEW or WWE. You know, you're not getting the same amount of viewers, but I mean, I see Dan Hausen shirts all over the place.
Yeah,
I see Dan Hausen merchandise all over the place, and he got it. You know, he got it.
Do you feel
it's
like
all the power to him?
Do you feel like Dan Hausen could transcend wrestling at some point and become? Because I feel like Dan Hausen, even when he doesn't wrestle, is one of those people who's still entertaining. So I feel like he could appeal to the mainstream audience at some point.
Absolutely. I don't even think Dan Hausen should wrestle. He could be the greatest wrestler in the world. I just want to hear him talk, and I want to hear him interact with people. But like, you got guys like him, like Dalton Castle is another one.
Yeah.
So outlandish and everything.
Yeah.
And the stuff that they can do together, or that like RJ City is another one who.
Yeah.
You know, you got all these guys out here, and if you get all of them together in a room and just put a camera in there for a few hours, I guarantee you'll get some of the greatest stuff.
I've never seen RJ City wrestle, but he's everywhere. I see his name on a daily basis.
Exactly. Again, he's a guy, he doesn't need to wrestle. I don't want to see him wrestle.
No.
You know, it's just he's just that entertaining, and he's able to perform and make money. Just doing what he does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I am obviously I've seen you and Vinny have got some bookings coming up and stuff. Is the plans to keep the Righteous going still? I mean, I mentioned to Kerry last week that I think you're the greatest faction around at the moment. And I think to keep you all together would really work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are that is the plan. I mean, we haven't even begun to do what we can do, I guess. We haven't we haven't shown the world what we are capable of doing yet. So yes, we do plan on staying together. It's just we all live, you know, I'm in New York, Vinny's in Florida, Bateman's in Los Angeles. So it's just kind of, okay, we got to figure out how to get the same places at the same time, you know? So, and I put out on Twitter yesterday that, you know, we're willing to defend these titles wherever. So I'm hoping that a few companies catch on and like, okay, you know what, let's do it.
Oh, I love that idea that you're still actively defending the championships.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the thing. Like I said earlier, we don't know. You guys don't know. They Ring of Honor might come back in April, and if that's the case, then you're going to get some good matches with these titles being defended.
Yeah.
And even if not, we'll just defend them, and we'll show up and be like, okay, so we have to win, so we can't lose these titles. So
yeah, that's a really good point. You lose the championships, and then Ring of Honor comes back, and they've got people who are 6-man tag team champions who weren't even in Ring of Honor. You know? Exactly. There's a lot of pressure on you guys to keep those belts.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, obviously, before we I know we've not got much time left, so before I let you go, me and Callum, I'll tell you right now, Ring of Honor's been a massive part of our wrestling fandom. You know, it's just one of the greatest companies. It's produced the greatest talent. What's your thoughts on Ring of Honor's legacy? Because we've said this. I don't think professional wrestling would be the same today if Ring of Honor didn't exist.
Yeah.
No, it absolutely would not. Ring of Honor, I mean, there would be no AEW if there wasn't Ring of Honor.
True.
Who knows? WWE might have sold or shut down if there was no Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
You look around at all of these guys who have came from Ring of Honor. That's where they made a name for themselves, and they bettered companies by being there. So they 100% changed the landscape of pro wrestling, and it would not be the same if they were not around.
Well, put it this way, like. This here is actually a 4.5 foot Seth Rollins action figure, and I use it as a coat hanger. I wouldn't even have that coat hanger if it wasn't for Ring of Honor, in theory.
Exactly, exactly. And you know what? That's the thing too. Is like, you know, Seth Rollins. We came up in FCW together. He was one of my best friends. I told Tom to him every day. If Ring of Honor was not around, I might not have that friendship.
That's crazy, isn't it? To think how different the butterfly effect of Ring of Honor on pro wrestling.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So they like I said, wrestling wouldn't be the same. My life probably wouldn't be the same if Ring of Honor never existed. I might not have even if Ring of Honor never existed and I was never at that show in 2003, I might not be a pro wrestler. You know, I might not have pursued that dream.
And we wouldn't be doing this interview right now.
Exactly.
I keep saying it, man. I mean, I've been marking out all day. We've spoke to Vinny, we spoke to Vita, we've got you on now. Like I said, I'm just the biggest righteous fan in the world, so I've been all day long. I've been marking out, so I can't thank you enough. For
you this. Only need Bateman now to come. You only need.
We just need Bateman now. Yeah.
Well, you'll get him.
We'll get him.
We will. Before we wrap up as well, we always ask people this because we've had the pleasure of becoming really good friends with Kerry Silken this past year. He comes on the show regularly. We've got him on again this Thursday. What's it like being for you or being around Kerry? Because he's so humble. I don't think he appreciates how important he is.
He really is. I love Kerry. The first time I met him, I think it was at a WWE house show. I know that. And because Rollins was on the road, not full time yet, just kind of like, you know, getting feelers out there. And he told me Kerry was in the crowd. He told me, I'll go up to him and introduce yourself to him. So I did. We met, and that was 2011. So when I saw him, I hadn't seen him since then. He remembered me, you know, and I thought that was awesome right from the start. And he's a big cigar smoker, and so I love cigars. So, and I knew that. So I brought some of my favorite cigars to him. He was really appreciative for that. And, you know, he'll always watch my matches. He'll always make sure he's there to watch, give me critiques and everything. And he's such a great guy. And the end of Final Battle, I don't think it was filmed. So it ended with the main event. And, you know, everybody was around ringside, like, you know, giving thanks to the fans and everything. And I saw Kerry, and he came over and just gave me this big hug. and we hugged for like a good minute. Is what it seemed like. He just kept whispering in my ear. He's like, "This isn't the last time we're going to see each other," So that made me feel good.
Oh,
that made me feel good. So,
he's such a lovely man. He really is.
He is. He absolutely
we tell him every time we speak to him, don't we, Callum? He's so humble. He's like, "Aren't you fed up of speaking to me?" I'm like, "You're Kerry Silken. What you just don't understand how."
Yeah, he always says, are your listeners not bored of hearing me yet? And I'm like, you're literally the most interesting man I've ever seen in my life. Like, you've got a story for everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we've got him on this Thursday as well. So I mean, we'll happily mention we spoke to you. We'll pass your regards on to him as well.
Oh, please do.
Absolutely. Before you do go, though, is there anything you want to plug? Any merchandise to promote upcoming shows?
Let's see. So we have January 21st in Waterbury, Connecticut. Me and Vincent will be from Northeast Wrestling in Waterbury for their show Over the Top, which is about Royal Rumble type show. I think they do it every year, a week before the actual Royal Rumble. The next day at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, which is 10 minutes from where I live, another big show there. Me and him will be wrestling. Not sure. I have an idea of who we're wrestling, but I don't know for sure yet, so I won't mention it. But there's a lot of AEW talent there.
Yeah.
A lot of Ring of Honor talent, a few TNA talents there. So it's going to be a big show, and that's January 21st and 22nd. I'm sure we have some other things in between, which is not really coming to my mind right now. But yeah, Twitter, Instagram at ROH Dutch, which I might be changing soon because of ROH. We'll see if I just can't figure out a name right now. So for now, it's Twitter and Instagram at ROH Dutch.
Awesome, dude. Well, I can speak on behalf of me and Callum. I can't thank you enough. We'd love to get you back on in the new year as well, see how things are going.
I would love
to. Last time we spoke to Vinny, he mentioned about the Righteous coming on. So if we can make that happen at some point,
absolutely,
we'll certainly do that. But for now, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. I can't thank you enough. Have a wonderful Christmas and New Year as well.
Oh, you too. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Thank you very much. Dutch, thank you very much, man. Do take care.
Thank you. Take it easy.
You too, man. Thank you.